and this is why the Australian people need to bend over and take it in there. But I've already said stop the boats 15 times. No. Okay. Thank you, Australia, for voting the adults back into power. With your help, we can stop the boats. Thank you. This is Tony Abbott speaking. I don't care. You can't let them into this country. Just activate the Liberals' plan to stop the boats.
A few moments later.
The world is ending! It's only been 2 months and the world is ending! Fucking hell! Shit! Fuck! There's some cliffs! I might do the reporting up there! Shit! Hold on! I'll be back! Oh fuck! Okay. I think I could be safe up here. Oh fuck. I'll just set this up. Just like yep. Okay. Now that we're safe, let's go back 2 months, just before the election. We all heard the Rupert media scandals, screaming at the top of their lungs, Australia is in debt! The Australian debt crisis! Labour is putting us in debt! And all this other bullshit that he was spinning. But let's face it, Australia survived the recession. As a country, we have a AAA credit rating, and we had the lowest unemployment that we'd had in years. So the people who fell for Rupert media fell into 4 categories. 1, the rich, because everybody knows that the Liberal government will keep the poor as they possibly can, and the rich as they possibly can. 2, scared people. People who listen to the Rupert media and Tony Abbott going, the boats are coming! The boats are coming! 3, homophobic people who didn't want to see marriage equality introduced into Australia. 4, idiots. All the Liberal government did before getting into power was scream and abuse Labor. Since getting into power, all they've done is scream and abuse Labor. These group of people, if I can call them that, have no plan for Australia except for one: getting as much money as they can for their own pockets. I really hope by now that everyone has heard how the Liberal government has used thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money to go to personal events such as weddings and sporting events. And this is why the Liberal motto isn't boats, 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 it's cut, cut, cut. Since getting into power, the Liberal government has cut thousands of public sector jobs, from people like Centrelink workers, to nurses, to tax officials, all just to keep an extra few dollars in the Liberal pocket. The first big bill that they want to introduce is the repeal of the carbon tax, the tax that is taxing the big companies that are polluting our skies. Then he goes on to tell the Australian public that it will save $500 a year for every household. That is fucking bullshit. The electricity companies have already said that the price of electricity will actually go up, not down, after the repeal of the carbon tax. So where is this $500 coming from, Phony Tony? Are you going to come to every house in Australia and give us $500 a year? No, I didn't think so. The first big problem that got me involved in this was Liberals' attack on Labor's NBN. For the people who don't know, the NBN was going to be a national network connecting Australia to the 21st century and giving everybody in Australia reliable and fast internet. And not just for downloading, but uploading as well. Australia has one of the slowest internets in the world. Third world countries have better internet than us, and that's not a joke. AbbottNet will give us an amazing 25 megasecond download with no real increase to our upload speeds, and that is promised within 5 years. He can't even promise that anytime soon because of the existing copper network that Telstra has already placed in Australia. Whereas Labor's NBN will give us 125 megasecond download and a 50 meg upload speed. Let me put that into perspective for you. Currently, these videos that I film and upload to YouTube are about a gig each. Under my current internet plan, which is ADSL2, it takes me 8 hours to upload it. Under AbbottNet, it will take 6 to 7 hours to upload. But under the NBN, it will take an amazing 3 to 4 minutes to upload. Think about that. And then the big issue that is plaguing Australia at the moment, or at least that Abbott and Rupert Murdoch would have you believe, that the Labor's NBN will cost more than the Liberals' attempt at internet. And they're right. Don't panic. That's only because the setup cost is only going to be a little bit more because more fibre will have to be laid across Australia. The way that the Liberal internet is going to work is as follows. Every second street in Australia will have this thing called a node. The node will be connected to the exchange via fibre optics. The fibre optics will go to the node, giving the node fast internet. But then, and here is where it gets shit, from that node, each house will still be connected via Telstra's copper network that is currently in place and fading, and the same problems will arise. The way that fibre optics works is basically it travels at the speed of light, whereas copper will travel at the speed of sound. And the problem with that is, if you live too far from the node, you will still get slower internet than the person who lives next to the node. The way that the NBN was going to work was that everybody in Australia will have the same fast, reliable internet. Now, the cost factor is a big thing as well, because those nodes will still need constant maintenance, they will need electricity, and that means AbbottNet will cost a lot more in the long run, because the current copper network is going to have to be replaced at some point. So if every Australia house had fibre optics to their door now, it would cost a lot less, because fibre optics doesn't need as much maintenance as copper does. But the NBN isn't the only thing the Liberal government has done to fuck this country and make us the laughing stock of the world. No. Please, let me explain. Let me continue. The first thing that Phony Tony did after getting into power was fire the science minister, something that's never happened since he was first introduced. He also fired the climate change minister as well, keeping stupid people dumb because now they won't be informed on any of this nuisance that we call science. And then, this chauvinistic, sexist pig went to make himself the Minister for Women's Affairs. Now that doesn't sound so bad, we've had men ministers for women's affairs before. However, if you take his quote saying that if a woman is raped walking around King's Cross at 2 o'clock in the morning, then maybe, just maybe, that the woman should think why she was at King's Cross at 2 o'clock in the morning in the first place, you kind of see why this is a bad fucking move. Now let's go on to some of his policies. His main one. Stop the boats! The only boat that he's actually stopped was one that was sinking and already on its way to Australia that the government decided not to help, killing 20 children with bodies still yet to be discovered. Then he makes an address to the Australian public saying that boats are down 90%. Then that same weekend goes on to ABC News and says boats are down 75%, making up numbers as he goes along. This brings me to the big issue that really pisses a lot of people off. Before getting into power, Abbott provided information saying that if he got into power, that this government would be one of transparency and openness. Since getting into power, he has cast a media blackout. His PMs are not allowed to do any interviews with anyone before going through his media secretary first and being told what to say. And any freedom of information requests have been denied, basically saying that this government can do whatever it wants because it's behind closed doors. Is this really the person you want running Australia? Someone who lies and cheats to get their way? Someone who has the money to afford to buy people who gets in their way? Wait. Oh, that's Rupert Murdoch. Hold on a second. Oh, here it is. Let me try this again. Is this really the person you want running this country, Australia? An empty, wet sock with Rupert Murdoch's fist so far up his ass he should be called Kermit. Keeps claiming that the adults are back in charge of the government. But let's take the first day of the Senate, shall we? All it was hours of screaming, insults, and childish behaviour. This isn't an adult government. This is a fucking children's puppet show with Rupert Murdoch pulling the fucking strings. Rupert Murdoch doesn't want fast internet for Australia. Why? Because it would ruin his Foxtel empire. Rupert Murdoch doesn't want the carbon tax because he wants to make money off the big polluting companies. Rupert Murdoch doesn't want public sector jobs because he wants everything privatised. Cha-ching! What about the Australian people? What do we want? Well, I'll tell you what we don't want. We don't want a bunch of fat cat money-hungry pigs sitting in office telling us what we can and can't do with our money while setting us back 100 years in technology. We don't want public schools being ruined by funding cuts, keeping the troubled youth dumber because of lack of education. We don't want our uni HECDEX to be privatized so that we can't go to uni, basically saying that we're not allowed to make anything of ourselves. We don't want our post office to become Centrelink offices, making the already horrendous wait times longer and putting more stress on the staff. We don't want our Great Barrier Reef to be drudged for big oil companies to come through, destroying one of the great wonders of the world. We don't want our debt ceiling being lifted by $200 billion without any information given to the Australian public, putting our credit rating into chaos. We don't want the tax threshold to be lowered for low-income earners, but raised for the high-income earners, so the poor stay poor and the rich just keep getting richer. We don't want for our anti-discrimination laws to be revoked so that people can be discriminated against by their sex, age, weight, colour, doesn't matter. And lastly, we don't want a fucking puppet as our Prime Minister. I've only touched on a few subjects here today. There is a lot more that Phony Tony and the evil fucking swine that he calls a government that are doing and planning for this country. All that I ask is that you take a look around. This once great country is being slowly destroyed by fucking fat cats who sit in their ivory towers of gold and money and want to see the poor suffer. The Murdoch media is a lie, and they will say anything they can to get their own way. Take a look around at independent media sources, leaked information from Anonymous and WikiLeaks, or anything that isn't owned by Rupert Murdoch, and trust me, you will see what is going on. If I am going to leave on anything, it's going to be this. Tony Abbott needs to be stopped, whether it's from a double dissolution or some other means. We are your employer, Mr. Abbott, and we are not happy. Either find a new puppet master or get the fuck out of this country on the boat you came in on. Either shape up or ship out. Scott NBNP reporting for Non-Murdoch Media News.
There we have it. NBNP's rant number 5. You might be asking yourself why I'm in dick stickers here. Well, I thought in the spirit of Tony Abbott, I thought just strip down to myself and give everyone nightmares. So, thanks for watching these videos, and as always, if you just want to click up along here, you'll be able to check out my other videos, and I'll leave that up a little bit. Yep, and you guys check out my Let's Play videos. And as always, thanks for watching.